Guess I was muted. Sorry about that. I love our theme song. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing it for a moment. It's a great way to introduce our Friday burn. And so we're not only going to do our Friday burn, but we also have a special guest. It's going to be another community is going to be joining us again this week. Just like we did last week, we had some other communities, 2 other communities last week. And we're just excited about where crypto is headed, the future for those who persevere, the future for those who figure out this game that we're playing. We know that there's so much to crypto. And I personally started 4 years ago, have been through a lot, have learned a lot, and found so many different angles on it. I've seen a lot of really interesting, good people that have I've gotten to know in the last 4 years, and I've gotten to know a lot of people that are not so savory, if I would put it that way. And so it is really, really an interesting place to be, to hang out. When it's likened to the Wild West, there's some really good reasons for that analogy that it's likened to the Wild West. So, at the end of the day, I'm sure that most of those of you who are tuning into this session, and those of you who see it on the recording, those of you who are a part of whether it be the SOLNIC community or the SWP community, your goal is a couple of different things. Probably to have some fun, probably to meet new people, and just to be a part of something bigger than yourself. But it's also most likely to find financial gain, with that financial gain making an impact on yourself, on your family, on your future. And, everybody works very, very hard for what we have, and the ability to invest in something which is really an emerging technology. That is something that is super, super exciting that we're in the process of doing. And all of us are learning. I'm sure all of us are learning every single day. So let me, without any further ado, add to the stage SOLNIC Coin.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Sorry I'm late.
No problem at all. So would you like to just take a moment and introduce yourself to the community? We probably have, watching it now and watching the recordings, we're probably going to have people from a number of different communities and they don't know, maybe they know zero about who you are and your
Sure.
project. So whatever you would like to share.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Cliff. I am behind the SOLNIC token, SOLNIC coin. We've been running this project for about 19 months. We started at an $18,000 market cap and topped out at about 10.1 million, and we're sitting at about 5.7 million now. It's been a long grind. I'm also a whale in the SWP token, and I really like Tom, and that's kind of why I've sort of partnered up with him. I like to chat with him behind the scenes and see what's going on and try to help him learn from anything I've learned along the way. 18 months is a lifetime in meme coin world. So I've picked up a lot of information and learned a lot of things along the way over those 18 months, and just anything I can share with Tom to help SWP become the next $1 billion market cap, I want to do it.
Very much appreciated. So yeah, you said a couple things that I don't know if everybody knows that Cliff is a whale with our SWP community, and he also is an advisor and helps our leadership group with advice, ideas, and we are, we're open absolutely to the insights and the support and the ideas. And this applies to not only Cliff, but anybody that shares ideas. We want to maintain that humble attitude because we know that that's extremely important, especially in long-term success. If you start to get arrogant or think you know it all, in the end, you might run into a really bad situation. So very much appreciated your advisorship role. And again, all of the people working hard on the behind the scenes on SWP. So why don't you give us a little bit of like, what's what would I call the narrative, the if there's any utility, anything that you would like to share about the SOLNIC coin.
Yeah, so like I said, we've been doing this for 19 months now. February of 2024 is when we started this as a community takeover. I was pretty naive. I didn't know the term community takeover. I actually just saw the token that a few other groups had shilled and saw that it had hit rock bottom. So a buddy of mine who's an influencer, he goes by Your Boy Ski. I reached out to him and said, hey, what do you think about this? And it was kind of new, but the rugs were really left and right at that time. Not that they've gone away, but so we just said, what if we had a token that didn't rug? Like, what an amazing concept, a token that didn't rug. And the only way to do that is if you hold the cards, And so we decided that we were going to do this community takeover. He had a community already, which was a big help to the project. He had probably 30,000 followers on TikTok and maybe 10,000 followers on YouTube. It's about doubled that since then. But that kind of helped us get started, but it wasn't without ups and downs. We went from 18,000 to 4 million, back to 100,000, back to 3 million, back to 400,000. I mean, it was just a lot of wicks on the daily candles, a lot of wicks on the weekly candles that were just astronomical. We got rid of a few bad eggs that were kind of swing trading our chart at extreme levels. Once we got rid of them, things kind of tapered off, but we've actually gained about 66% in value since July 4th this month. So we went from about a $3.1 million market cap to a $5.7 million market cap. And, and this is another reason I'm a big fan of the SWP community is its consistency. It's showing up every day. It's not trying to explain the chart to new followers. It's just like, here's our plan. We're going to get there. It might take us a month, it might take us 6 months, it might take us a year, but we're going to get there. And when Tom shows up every day, the community understands that he's not going anywhere and the project's not going anywhere because of that. I know he's got a few things cooking in the background, which builds a lot of confidence because I know the background is where all the work gets done, and having someone on the front end to explain it and also work on the back end can be exhausting. But at the same time, it's very reassuring to me as an investor in SWP, because I know what it takes from our coin, how much we had to do behind the scenes to keep the chart in play and keep things moving and keep people interested.
Yeah. And when you say that, just so everybody hearing this just understands that, I do take it very seriously, that it's early on when I kind of started taking, I joined the core group. I don't know if it was back in September of last year. Maybe I joined the core group before that, actually, like in July, because that's when we launched that first new token. And when things were going south, and they've gone south on a number of different occasions, it was actually knowing that there were good people that I knew, that I'd gotten to know, or and in some case friends and family, who had put their hard-earned money into this. And it's just like, well, I want to keep fighting because of that. It actually makes me feel committed. And what's happened through the journey is I've gotten tougher. I've gotten a lot tougher, I think, psychologically. Like, I don't get an ulcer anymore. It just, looking at posts and looking at people's responses, is that you have to be tough to do something like this. And I think it's just, we're doing something. This is a disruptive technology, and it's also a part of it built on meme coins on hype. It's just like, it's a strange combination of social media, entertainment, gambling, investing, and who knows what else and so much in the realm of emotions. And to show up and know that other people's monies are on the line. And as a group, we're trying to make it win. I mean, we're trying to make it win for our own bags, but also as a group, don't want anyone to get hurt. So I know that's probably a rarity, that the average crypto investor probably cares about themselves primarily, right? And so, no, but I appreciate you saying that, and I definitely take seriously the efforts and the financial investment that people have made in the project. And the goal was always to win. Never wanted to lose my own investments of monies, and didn't want anyone else to lose. So that's why we're not giving up. We're just gonna keep going to keep going and never giving up. And it's pretty amazing historically, the success stories that you read about, where it was just that grit and tenacity, which is pretty rare, that people get to that point of like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they kept going. And then you see this massive breakthrough, and you almost never see historically anyone who's massively successful who didn't have that journey. It's very, very rare that they just stumbled into it and got something big. It was always with that tenacity.
And it just kind of the mindset of people wanting, it's never fast enough for them. The chart never grows fast enough. There's never enough, anything, but then on the same hand, the community, how many people just spend 10 minutes a day getting on Twitter, getting on social media, clicking a like, making a comment, sharing a post, creating a post. Literally, if everyone in the community would just spend 10 minutes a day doing the free stuff,
yeah,
it would have exponential returns. People want, if you were to ask someone, hey, I've got a job for you, it's going to cost you, 4 or 5 hours a day, but we'll pay you $1 million in 5 years. You think anybody would do that? 4 or 5 hours a day for 5 years to earn $1 million? Mm-hmm. I think so. But when you're talking about someone working for their bag,
yep,
you look at these market caps, and you could be a millionaire in so many projects right now, literally by getting a community that wants to put in 4 or 5 hours a day. But 5 years in crypto world is just too many lifetimes away. So people get discouraged, and they'll sell, and they'll go to another thing and wait 5 minutes, and then jump on another ship and wait 5 minutes. You got to lock in. You got to lock in, and you got to, play your cards and work for your bags.
Absolutely. And, this is where I think really, this call is being recorded, and we'll be able to look back and see, like, who knows, if we pulled this up a year from now and looked back at what we're saying. But I believe that we're on the cusp of the biggest bull run that probably will ever happen. There could be a bigger one the next one after that. I don't know, but
I mean,
watching.
in a sense, it already is. We're at a $4 trillion market cap. We barely broke 3 trillion last cycle.
Yeah.
I was on a call today with the Mario and the Fall Roundtable, and one of their advisors on there was predicting probably about 5 trillion total. And a lot of people that I've spoken with and I've listened to think it's probably going to be somewhere between $7 and $9 trillion total. The 401k industry, has $9 trillion in it, and all these crypto ETFs that are going to be pouring into 401ks. And that, talk about an ultimate DCA. I mean, people just set their paycheck, 6% of their paycheck every month or every 2 weeks. I mean, that's the ultimate DCA, and that's why the S&P always hits record highs all the time, because it's got the ultimate. All of America is DCAing into the S&P 500, and soon it's going to be crypto. So if we capture just 5% of that, $9 trillion, I mean, that's going to exponentially show returns on the blockchain.
Yeah. And I kind of touching back on what you were just saying about community is that, the vast majority of the tokens that I've seen since I started, historically looking back, the vast majority of them either they just fizzled out, no wrongdoing, no bad players involved. They just fizzled out. People lost interest and moved on, and there was new options, or there were maybe whales dumping, whether you call that a rug pull or you don't define it as a rug pull. But when all the whales dump, it's something that happens over and over and over. And so somebody investing in a meme token has every right and reason to be nervous. But the challenge is that when you have a solid token where they really would benefit from just staying put, and the goal is to build up that comfort level, and then to see that some people still can't do that. And again, absolutely, everybody has their own right. At any moment, everyone maintains the right to sell their tokens and move on. That's the beauty of it. They all vote with their feet. They get the right to come. They get the right to go. But it's just fascinating to see. And sometimes they'll go from a steady, solid project over to something, and then you watch it drop like a pancake and recognize that they probably lost a lot of money doing that. And so, I mean, my goal is to create something, with our token. I'm sure it's the same with SOLNIC, is just something that at the very least people feel they can go to bed every night knowing that they can sleep good. Whether you've had a massive pump during the night, they can still wake up in the morning and know that I'm still here. The community's still here. You still have Kai and April working in the background, and Shayna still working in the background on things we're still here. And our goal is to make sure that we're visible, but you're not going to see, crickets. The Twitter's been taken down, and everybody's run for the hills, which is what happens in some cases. So.
I've seen some crazy big accounts get wiped off of Twitter, and no idea what causes that. Like, I've got a gold check, so that, I think that gives me some leeway with the account as far as what I can post. But I see some really big influencers that all of a sudden they're just not project owners necessarily, but all of a sudden they just get shut off and they have to start over, and that destroys them, because that's their whole means of existence is their following. So starting over can be frustrating for them. But
yeah, you got me onto that gold check. I'm definitely considering that. I know it costs a chunk of change every month, but it sounds like it could be well worth it for a project like SWP.
It's nice for getting noticed. If you're going to show up in spaces, I get invited to speak occasionally without even asking, or if I do ask to speak, I almost always get brought up on stage. Just gives it a level of credibility when you're in a space, the gold check accounts are filtered to the top, right past the speakers. So anybody who's got the speakers on there kind of get to see that gray wolf, which is another thing I think is going well. I know you've got a lot of gray wolf PFPs, and we did that with SOLNIC. We can't get the community to show up now like we used to, but we've had 40 or 50 SOLNIC PFPs in the audience, and it really shows that there's people out there that are behind the token. So if you guys can switch your PFP to that wolf pack and show up in spaces,
yeah,
you don't have to speak, just lurk in there, and that's free marketing.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. I've told this story before, but there was a football team, I think it was, and or some kind of sports team, and the high school coach got all the boys to shave their head bald on the same team. And just think about the level of intimidation if you're like on this other side of the field and you see an entire team and every single one of them is like shaved bald. Just the solidarity of that group would be kind of scary and intimidating. And so the good news is we don't have to shave our heads. We just change our PFPs and we're all going to look like this wolf pack. So Cliff, why don't you tell me a little bit about the narrative? So I understand that it's some connection to Sonic the Hedgehog, or at least it looks like that.
Yeah, it's just a parody. So we weren't the original creators. This launched was a fair launch back in January of 2024. It got hit with sniper bots that took about $15,000 out of the market initially. So ran it pretty low. Then the dev just decided he was going to revive it, and then he rugged his own community, trying to scoop up his losses. So once it got low enough for us to decide it would be a good chance, he still ended up holding about 3% of the supply after we took it over, which we didn't know. But he sold. We had to work through that, and then with a community takeover, there's what's called exit liquidity provider, because we got a bunch of people holding bags that got rugged. So now as that project starts coming up, they still want out, and they just want to, they're not looking at protecting the chart. They just, as soon as they get to their market price, then they sell. So we had to dig through that. Then we realized we were onto something. We hit a $4 million market cap, and we were hovering between $2 and $4 million. And it became real at that point. So we started thinking how we're going to move this forward. So built a 2024 roadmap, which was pretty basic stuff that, getting listed on CoinMarketCap, getting listed on CoinGecko, getting our website built, getting, our social medias with TikTok and Instagram, Twitter, obviously, YouTube, things that needed to be in place. And then we built the 2025 roadmap, which was a little more big. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it was pretty hefty roadmap where
we're ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious is the word. Thank you. So then we decided we needed to figure out how to backpedal into a utility with this project, for multiple reasons, just to show that we're working on our end, and we're committed to this, to also help with supply control, because as we build our dApps, it'll require the SOLNIC token to be used, which increases the demand. We've got a staking app out now, which is helping with supply control. We've got 5% of our supply is locked up in the staking app, and the foundation hasn't put any in yet. So we've got another 3% I think we're going to lock up into that staking app. We've got 6% of our supply burned, and then about 4% in the burned liquidity locker. We've also got liquidity pools on AVAX and liquidity pools on Base. So we're multi-chain. You can buy SOLNIC on any of those three chains, because we think that the AVAX narrative is coming eventually, and we want to be in front of that. The Base narrative, I think, is here right now. It had a spike, I think, with memes earlier, and it kind of drifted back to Solana, but I still think there's going to be a huge demand with Coinbase owning Base.
For For sure.
that newbies coming in are going to gravitate towards the base tokens. And so that's why we wanted to have our token available on the base network as well. We've got 2 developers working on a couple other dApps for us. One is going to make it a lot simpler for people to provide liquidity with different pairs of tokens. I could set up a liquidity pool with SWP paired with SOLNIC. And then as the tokens trade, depending on where the price is cheapest, Phantom or whatever DEX you're using finds the cheapest price. And if it happens to be the cheapest through SWP SOLNIC pair, then it comes out of that and you earn the fees through that. So people can earn money just by letting their bags sit in liquidity pools. But it's not the easiest thing to do to set up those liquidity pools. I've done it with Radium quite a bit. I've done it with Meteora, but you can make mistakes, and we want to build it where it's just a little bit easier for a novice user to take the time and be able to just punch in what they want and not have to worry about messing something up with those contracts. So yeah, those are in development, and we just think that having the dApps available and the use case for SOLNIC will keep the community engaged and keep interest from new buyers coming in.
So the dApps are on the Solana blockchain, like primarily?
Yes, they will be on the Solana blockchain. Now, we could go with the other blockchains as well to build those dApps out, but our initial ones are just going to be on Solana.
And that's where the word SOLNIC comes from, right?
Yeah.
From the Solana blockchain.
Yeah.
So question, and again, if I ask questions that it's none of my business, or just let me know, I'm just always curious. So the stuff you're describing costs money. So is that something that there's a mechanism inside of this project that can fund the developers, etc.? Or is this all just you as the devs, your personal funds that are still funding this project?
It's a little bit of both. So we launched a NFT project called Hedge Funds, which we had a great artist. He's the one that created the SOLNIC emblem as well as all of the NFTs. So we sold about 900 of those NFTs
Nice.
to help us raise some money for that. A lot of that went into our liquidity pools. A lot of it went into just different marketing, our maintenance for our website, our maintenance for our gold check, things like that cost money. But yeah, we have to come out of pocket for a lot of things. I think, our staking dApp is live now. And I think we probably had to come out of pocket a couple $1,000s for that. And then, just everything that, the maintenance, the ongoing operational costs are going to far outweigh the costs of, the revenue that we're generating at this point. And that's what hopefully our dApps can help us overcome. But, as time goes, we'll see. But
and you have no tax, correct?
No, there's no tax on our token.
Okay, interesting. So so you guys are in line just like we are to get onto on-chain, I assume, right?
Yes, that's been frustrating for us. We've been bragging about that for 8 or 10 months now, and March came and went, April came and went, and now it's like we're in July, and it's like, gosh, I wish we could get that because, we've been. I think I was the one that sent on-chain to you. I'm not sure if I thought that.
Yeah, maybe you were. Yeah, and the two guys from last week, both of their tokens are actually on. I see that they're on. So congratulations to the guy, the projects that were with us last week. But patience is a virtue. I know. So it's nothing to do with us. It's the Solana blockchain is just, wasn't the first in the queue, and I get it. What they're building is interesting. So, okay, is there anything in the future that you haven't shared that you would like to share about your community, or what's your URL, by the way, if somebody wanted to check out your website?
SOLNICcoin.io.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, we've kind of taken on this, so Devin, who goes by Yaboyski, he's our front man. He's the one who is one that's better at speaking to audiences than me, but we've kind of taken on the educational side of it because his community counts on him for learning about, trading and learning about profit taking and risk management. We're forming this coalition of BYOB, which is be your own bank.
Yeah.
We've got a saying, everyone says you got to work for your bags. At some point, you need your bags to start working for you. Nobody gets rich by punching a time clock 9 to 5. People get rich by letting their money work for them. And SOLNIC, we want to provide that opportunity on obviously a much smaller scale, but to teach people, hey, look, if I lock my money up here, it grows. Or if I let this community use my token as a liquidity provider, I'm going to earn money. Or, just the fact of being able to see and understand how those tools work at a smaller scale. You don't need to be a billionaire or Wells Fargo or Elon Musk to make your money work for you. You can do it at a smaller scale and understand those processes much better. So as your money grows, you can learn how to make it grow better.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is very much at the heart of our current narrative. We've always been focused on creating content, but I think the real push on the education and creating really good quality educational content has become really a focal point for SWP. That's why I also created the brand of Naked Crypto and SWP Education, because it's moving a little bit away from like where the Wolfpack narrative came from, because that's from 4 years ago, and focusing on the future. I think that education is something that is huge, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. So yeah, I think that's really, really important. I think that people that are, and again, the fact that you're willing to be on camera and educate and talk and inform people I think it's huge, because there's so many people out there that are the ones that are still yet to come into crypto, that still have never opened a wallet. That is the vast majority. So whether it's 4% or 6% or 7% of people today that actually truly own real crypto, it's still a very, very tiny percentage of people. And so the surge from that to how many it will be when it becomes kind of mainstream, it's just a massive surge. And I feel strongly that those who help people and educate people to avoid the pitfalls, it's going to be a group that is appreciated and remembered by the people that they taught how to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And having credibility in this space is extremely valuable. It's risky, but it's also extremely valuable to let people know. I've been in a lot of spaces where a lot of people are familiar with SOLNIC. I don't know if they own any of it or not, but they trust me, to bring me up on stage. They trust me when I say we've got something good coming,
Yeah.
And having that credibility is invaluable, as we grow and as we move forward.
Absolutely. And I appreciate just having, like, the very first times that I talked with you, I appreciated your way of communicating, and you're being very helpful and helping a community that I didn't know whether you were actually a holder or not, but I appreciated your advice and your support in that. So excellent. So I wanted to share
I don't have time to give advice to bags that I don't hold.
I appreciate that as well.
It'd be crazy me just talking to projects where I'm not a stakeholder at all. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Okay, I'm going to switch over to conversation about some news. And so I wanted to share a little bit of the comic book. I know we've been talking about it, so it's basically ready. I'm going to share a couple screenshots of the comic book. Again, this isn't for you guys to take a screenshot and read it. We want you to actually buy it on Vivi and for a number of reasons. It's, obviously to really enjoy the comic book. Not everybody's into comic books, but if you're a Wolfpack member, it's definitely just a cool thing to buy. It's not going to be expensive. We're going to have 500 of them to start with, and in the future, as we continue to tell more stories, we'll see how popular these become, how quickly the 500 sell out. But I'm just going to share a couple screenshots here. Here you see just a couple of the pictures of the comic book, the adventure of this character who became our mascot, our logo. Really, really cool. Really, really cool, the background of it. And I really appreciate Mr. Randy's still on the call. I'm sure he and Cliff helped out with this as well. So we've got a team, and also huge shout out to Kai, who's also on the call. And he is the animator. He does our cartoon animations, and he also drew a comic book. Super exciting to see that. I would have never, I started off my career in professional work in the field of training and development. I don't know if everybody knows a little bit. I was 19 years old and I moved to Sweden. And in Sweden, the job that I got was teaching English, which is, I think, kind of common for Americans that move to other countries. A lot of times that's what they do. So I was teaching English, and I ended up teaching English for adults. I wasn't teaching children. And then the company that I worked for started teaching other things, which was management, different management training. We taught presentation skills, cross-cultural communication. I taught something called international communication skills, negotiation skills, and how to run effective meetings. So all of these things. So I've worked in the field of training and development. So when I moved back to Florida in 2004, I had bought a patent. I know this sounds pretty crazy, but I bought a patent from a Japanese origami master. His name is Norio Torimoto, and he is one of the few official origami masters in the world by the Origami Institute in Japan. And he lives in Sweden, and he had it patented a fold that I bought the patent. And this is kind of interesting that you could even patent a fold. That's why I moved back. I wasn't moving to become a real estate agent. So I became a real estate agent in 2004, and then eventually started to kind of see myself as an investor. That was when I started investing in real estate and crypto back in 2021. All of that to be said, I have a 14-year, career in training and development. And so my mind still goes there on some occasions of teaching people. And I began thinking about this project as a little bit like I was asking Cliff. I'm going to share my slides if I could. So let's see here. So the challenge I think that I have with a meme token project is the sustainability of it. And this is what I want to address. And I want to address it in a very, very concrete way. Obviously, doing cool things like this comic book, I think it's awesome. I hope we sell, if we sell, I don't know the exact price, but let me just take some mathematics. If we sold all of them at $8 a comic, and that would be $4,000, and VV takes half of it, we would make $2,000. Still, that still covers expenses. It helps us to have some funding for new projects, new media, etc. But I wouldn't call that a sustainable business. If I was to go and say to a venture capitalist, hey, we're a business, would you invest in my company? And so, kind of it was in the beginning, it was almost a joke. I don't know if everybody knows this. When I started calling myself the CEO, the whole origin of that was I was kind of being the new Russ. So if you don't know what that means, you don't want to, believe me. But a guy named Russ called himself the COO. And I was like, well, I didn't really gather why he was COO and not CEO. So, I was calling myself the CEO originally. We did eventually start an LLC. So, by that mandate, I'm the CEO of that company. And just so you know, because of the name change, we're moving away from the word Saitama. We're starting the new LLC, which is SWP Crypto Education LLC. And this is specifically for the crypto education projects and making that into a sustainable income producing business that, again, I wanted to just talk a little bit about, what is the benefits of having a crypto education business running parallel to a meme token, because it might sound very unprecedented. So just think about it for a moment. Calling myself the CEO, what is the job of a CEO? A CEO's job, per all of the the books, is to cast the vision for a company, and that applies to any business. A CEO is really not supposed to be in the trenches doing the work. They're supposed to set the vision, attract the right people, or hire the right people to talented people to do a great job, and then oversee the finances, making sure there's money to fund the start up and oversee the money over time as well. That's the three things that a CEO is supposed to do. Looking at a meme token, a traditional meme token, what does a traditional meme token do? And this is why I absolutely, even the three projects that we've had on our joint burn are not like this. That's why we are so happy to have friends that we can partner with and meet with on our spaces and our live streams that are not like a lot of the traditional, because the basic concept, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this judgmentally. I'm just saying this, if you look at it as a business concept, this is how a meme token works. You basically have to get in early, create hype, and then sell at some point using the early investors as liquidity, exit liquidity. That's how it works. So, and many people are like, yeah, I know, and I just want to be early, like not thinking of it, but that's not really a business model. That's something else, and it is how a lot of crypto works. I get it. Over time, I don't think it's going to even be how Bitcoin works as the whole world shifts towards crypto, in what it will become. But I think that if you just look closely at this is what a lot of people are thinking. And I think it's what a lot of people are frustrated that we haven't made the hype so they could pull out their liquidity and move on to the next project, which is what everybody does, right? You make a little bit, you might win, you lose, you move on. And they're just constantly hopping and hopping and hopping. That's not a business, okay? So what does a business actually do? What should a business actually do? A business finds a need that they would be able to fill that doesn't have a lot of competition. That's what a business does. So, if there was a need out there, and again, there's millions of, you got to find it too. Even back when a certain project that a lot of us knew about kept talking about they were going to start a blockchain, it actually struck me because I was thinking to myself, well, they're going to create a blockchain, but there was already over 60 or 70 blockchains. And I'm supposed to think that this is, wow, so amazing, this is going to change the world. Well, if there's so much competition in an area, is that really a great business model, unless you're somehow so confident that you're going to be the one everybody ends up using, right? But if you find something that there's not a lot of competition, you fill that need for a fair market value, and then you continue to grow your business avenues and diversify your products and services and just get a little bit better every day. That's a good business that can actually grow over time and be sustainable. So what does a business have to do with a meme token? Okay, well, think about it. The Solana Wolf Pack is a meme token, absolutely. And again, there is the basic element that you can buy it, you get in early and sell it later on. And that's how crypto works. That's how meme tokens work. But we've already established that our goal is to be a media company focusing on education, information, and entertainment. And at this point, we actually have a lot of hours of educational content, all the way from the 30-second, 60-second little funny videos with kittens. We've got the shorts that were taken from the in-person seminar that was recorded. We've got interviews. We've got small educational pieces that were created by Shayna and Deb and April and myself. We've got the little animated educational pieces trying to teach just the basic fundamentals. We have the potential of creating information and entertainment. So the perfect example, our comic book is not really about education. It's not educating people about crypto. It's just entertainment. I think probably our original series, we had 9 cartoons. Yes, we were trying to be funny. And whether people found it funny or not, we were trying to be funny. We've made a lot of cartoons, but at the end of the day, you can call it, I wouldn't really call it educational. I think it was a little more of a satire about some specific events. We've done some of them with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. We've done some of them with influencers. We did one with BitBoy Crypto. I did one with Ansem. So we've done a lot of content that was basically our original. And this is not anything that has gone away. Our goal is always to make a viral video because we're just looking to get those eyeballs and grow our actual holder count pretty massively from where it currently is. And so, but I think that probably the biggest real service that we can provide in a serious, solid way right now is education. And so we've already done in-person seminars. We had the second one. The whole thing was recorded with a professional videographer, and the whole thing is on YouTube. So you can literally go and watch the entire seminar that was recorded on YouTube. And here we've also pulled a bunch of short snippets from it, and we're continuing to make educational pieces because it was almost 3 hours long, and we have lots of different pieces where we're talking about crypto. So we've got short videos, like I explained, that were just specifically made to be kind of the TikTok style, and then longer form for somebody who's like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn, and they're watching the longer video, whether it's maybe watching the whole recording of or even watching some of our streams. But this is a new strategy, and I wanted to show you that it's basically being implemented as of today. We're actually implementing it in, say, instructor-led paid Crypto 101 class on Zoom. So in this case, people will actually pay for it. The in-person ones that I had in my town were free. It was just to get the wheels turning. The cool thing about the instructor-led Zoom training is that it's international. Now it is going to be, you're going to get the time Eastern Standard Time. I know we have people all over the world. So for some people, it's going to be in the middle of the night. Some people, it's going to be early morning, but it's going to be, you'll see what time it is. And I just want you to understand that this is probably not a class for anyone in the room. There's 128 of us on the call. This is not for you. Just so you can say, I would love you to come if you want to, but this is 101. This is for the newbie. This is for maybe your cousin who says, I don't know anything about that crypto stuff. I don't know anything about that Bitcoin thing that you keep talking about. You can tell them there's an instructor-led class. If you want to sign up for it, it's going to be 6 weeks in a row for 2 hours a session. You can ask questions. It's going to be a curriculum and slides and information, and you can literally learn a lot about crypto over a 6-week period, 12 hours of instructor-led training with homework in between. Okay, and the class is $99. So what I want to do is just see if we can get these seats filled. We're also going to record the Zoom, so it's going to be a recorded session, so that we can also create content from the training. We're not going to just give out the whole thing, but we can pick training from snippets from the 12 hours of content that we're providing. So this is a little bit more about the instructor-led class. It's going to be 12 hours. It's for beginners. The sign up is on Eventbrite. It's 2 hours. It's going to be for 6 weeks total.
And Tom,
Yeah.
Tom, this is a perfect example of how your community can provide free marketing. Everybody in your community is obviously in tune with crypto, and they probably got someone over their shoulder that doesn't have a clue about crypto.
Yep.
And this is a perfect opportunity to say, hey, I can't teach all of this to you, but here's a great opportunity for you to get engaged and learn. And they're going to trust you because they know you, or whoever's referring them to this class, they're going to at least trust them enough to say, okay, it's worth $100 to get in there and learn about this. So I think just, keep that in mind, is how, you and your community and all of us we are the marketing. We are
Yeah.
the marketing agency that can create new holders, create new eyes getting on these projects. And like just sharing a space like this that we're on, and adding a comment in the comments, or adding a like, and going back and forth with some banter in the comments, that kind of stuff is what feeds the algorithms, that gets more eyes on this. And I think this class will be great. And having a chance for your community to help push this is, I think, a low hanging fruit, as we call it.
Yeah, and the thing about this is that I just don't think that there's a lot of this going on. You've got certain things offered at the universities and colleges, but it's a much more advanced level. Like it's more in depth. Computer science, how crypto works and how blockchains work. But the average person is still, and I heard the feedback from some of the people when I was inviting to the event that I had locally. And I think that there's this resistance that, like, no, I don't want to learn. They literally said, I don't want to learn. I just, when it becomes if and when it becomes mainstream, I'll learn what I need to learn then. And so there are people very resistant. Um, I think that also to be in person physically and ask questions, maybe feel stupid. Like, I'm asking a stupid question. I don't understand this thing. Maybe it's a little difference. This is going to be international. This is going to be people from all over the United States and all over the world that are on this, so that they probably won't know each other and they can hopefully feel comfortable enough. And I think the Zoom version of it is actually, I think people value instructor-led training more than just a bunch of recordings. And I did want to note that if you refer someone, so anyone in the room, you maybe don't need this because it is going to be very, very basic. But if you refer someone who signs up through Eventbrite, and you let me know that, hey, this person, give me their name, I've referred them, they are going to sign up and take this, I will pay you a referral fee of $25. So you could actually make a couple bucks. And this is not crypto. This is not SWP. This is fiat. I will send you money. I'll probably do it through the blockchain, like in USDT or something, but it will be actual monies. So you can get a little bit of a perk for referring friends and family to take this class, because I can tell you two main reasons why I'm doing this. Because as you can imagine, I'm not only sacrificing 12 hours of my time to conduct this one, it's actually all the preparation work to prepare this content to be able to teach for 12 hours. But a couple of advantages. These are 101s. These are not degens. These are not investors. These are not JEETs, day traders. These are people who know nothing. And so they're coming in completely fresh. My goal is to get a connection with them. If there's any reference to how to buy a meme token, it's going to be SWP, right? That's just the side effect of, hey, I recommend this token because I'll show you how to click on this. And it's just basically to get a relationship with people. And of course, they're still going to do their own research. They have to learn to do their own research and make their own decisions. The other side of this is, I know it might be an ambitious goal for an August 20th start, but 100 students, if we can get anywhere near that, would be $9,900 in revenue for the training. So again, what can our community do? So we get some funds from the comic book, we get some funds from this. The beautiful thing is we're able to not have to sell any tokens, which we were doing in the past. It was not, it was frustrating because we had to sell some of our tokens from the original tokens that we had and taxes to pay for our monthly, weekly expenses. And we were paying influencers, etc. So part of that, I think, kept setting us back. And our goal was to flip the script and say, we're not only going to not sell those tokens, we're going to burn the tax and become deflationary. And we're going to have all the funds we need from something else and potentially even, do a buyback and burn, whatever we need to do. We can, or pay for some advertising, whatever that is. So just remember, let me know if you refer anybody to take this training. Starts in August, in a few weeks. And if I just confirm that someone signed up, there is on Eventbrite, I think people can cancel like up to 5 days before an event. So just so you know, for your referral fee, I just need to make sure that it's at the point at which their $99 is non-refundable. Then I'll send you the $25 because I don't want them to cancel and then I've already paid the referral fee. Okay. So this is the schedule. So August 20th, and then every Wednesday for 6 weeks. It's between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 2 hours, Wednesday. These are Wednesday evenings. Okay. And so on the Eventbrite, it's going to show the very first time, but just be aware, it says it in the description. The Eventbrite kind of refers to the very first event. If you go in there and if somebody goes in and signs up, they are going to be signed up as a member, as a student for the entire class. So every week they can get into the Zoom link and I'll have the roster for everybody that's signed up. So that's our times. Again, I think it's going to be fun. I mean, obviously, if you've heard me talk before, I love talking about crypto. I can't say that I know the in-depths of it, but it's probably why I actually am really enjoy talking about the basics because I know the basics. I understand the basics. So I'm comfortable about that. There's nothing preempting the fact that as we advanced, we could increase the training to be more complex and more advanced levels. And with a different trainer, obviously, we could have a teacher come in that teaches a different class. And I also want to leave it open that we could open up to other disruptive technologies. And disruptive technologies, other than blockchain would, of course, be AI. So we could have classes like this about AI, all running under the SWP Crypto Education LLC, and basically just creating revenue, because that's our goal, is to be a business that actually has a decent cash flow in order to sustain the meme token and also to help market the meme token because we're providing something of value. If you would take a shot of that QR code, hopefully it's gets you where I think it's going to get you. It should get you to the Eventbrite. And yeah, if you can take a picture of it or click on it, it'll take you to the Eventbrite. Just save the URL. Again, I'm not asking the people on the call to sign up for it because believe me, I know that you're beyond the 101. You're in this room. You're already a crypto trader. You already know about crypto. But if you send it to your cousin who doesn't know anything and should get in, maybe he'll take the class. And again, I will do my very best to make it worth his $99 and you'll get a referral fee of $25. So. Okay, I've covered a little bit of this, but most important, we'll be able to burn all of the tax, and the tax is 2% on any sales, buys, or transfers, and that is making it a truly deflationary token. Today, in a few moments, we're going to burn the tax for this week, which is almost 100,000 tokens. Now, if you look at our dollar amount for 100,000 tokens, that's not a lot. But I like to think, and again, please be aware, there's no guarantees. I'm not promising anything. There's no guarantees of value. But my goal or hope is that our token will be worth 100 million, right? At some point in time, which means that if that were to happen, then today we're technically burning $100,000. So you can look at it in a lot of different ways. We could potentially never hit that $100 million market cap. That's something that I'm hoping for in the bull run for sure, to hit $100 million market cap. If we do, then we technically burned $100,000 today. So, all right. Everybody got all of that? Our comic book, I showed you some screenshots of it. We're going to be solidifying the VV upload, and you will also see the link as soon as it's ready on our X account. So we'll post the link to how to get a copy of the comic book on the X account, and just be on the lookout. Check the X, and if you're interested, please, we'd love to sell out that 500 copies. I think it'll be fun. It'll be something that definitely would support. And if it's a small, $8 to $10 or something like that, even if you're not that interested in comic books, maybe you could do it just to support the community. That would be great. So, but definitely, if you have anybody that you feel would benefit from the class, that would also help the community a lot, because it will be, more support for the community. All right. So question: is there a market for quality crypto education? Do you think that there's a market for this? I think the simple answer is yes. Now, there's going to be some competition in the field of crypto and blockchain, and even AI, disruptive technologies. There's going to be lots of people moving into it, but is it a saturated market at this moment? I would say definitely not. There are people, there's trainings out there right now, and a lot of them are trying to sell something, trying to upsell something at the back end, and people are, getting a little content, and then they're, being upsold into some coaching program or something. And there's a bunch of YouTube videos with varying levels of quality, etc. But I do think the average person coming into this space doesn't really have a clear, like, where's a good 101? And I remember myself, as I was learning about crypto, watching YouTube and desperately trying to find somewhere where I could just get a nice coverage of the basics, the 101. And I found a few videos, longer videos, that gave a decent explanation. But I really feel that this is a blue ocean. There's a whole book about blue ocean strategies versus red ocean strategies. If you haven't read the book or don't know the concept, a red ocean is where there's blood in the water. It is a saturated market with tons and tons of competition in a specific industry. I would say a lot of the newly created tokens, a lot of the pump fund tokens, they're competing with literally millions of other tokens. If it's just an image or a narrative and just a community, doesn't have anything in additional, they're fighting against so much. That's a red ocean, right? There's just blood in the water. There's just so much competition where different vendors and suppliers become a commodity. A blue ocean is a place where there's not a lot of competition. There's very little competition in a blue ocean, and you're able to go and sort of set the standard. And so our goal with SWP education, crypto education, is to create some good content. And to start with, we're not creating an app. We're not creating a recorded training. We're actually doing a live. We've done physical in-person seminars that were 3 hours long. Now we're doing an instructor-led training that's 12 hours long to teach the people that are there the basics of crypto. So I think this is a blue ocean in that there's just not a lot of people doing it. And I think we can fill a need. I think it will get attention, and hopefully we'll be able to make it a good success, and then do another one. Just make it part of the schedule. We'll have a routine. And then if we end up creating recordings and make it more automated or something, we can do that later on. So that's the background of it. If anyone has questions about this, and this is like what are we talking about, feel free to shout out. It's not much of a variation from the previous things that we've talked about, but again, our goal has always been to get eyeballs. Different content that we've created is our marketing. That's what we've been trying to do to create marketing. That's how we've been trying to market, from cartoons to being silly and and picking fights and stuff like that. So, but now we're getting a little more serious. So,
Tom, do you have an agenda of the topics for each week?
so I don't have the full agenda for each week spelled out yet, but I will. So if anybody's interested, you can keep an eye on that Eventbrite and this spot for agenda. I will add. I'll add definitely today. I can add what's going to be covered because the general 101 content is I have all of that ready from having done this. As far as exactly how it will be broken up over the 12 weeks will be a work in progress, but it'll be all of the basics of 101. But I'll make sure that the basic, hey, this is what you'll learn during this 6 weeks will be on there for sure. Just has a little short description right now. All right, so now the moment that you were all waiting for, me to burn $100,000 potentially, or 100,000 tokens at the very least. Let's see what we can do here. I'm going to go to our burn. All right, so hopefully you guys can see. This is the app that we've been using to burn. It's called Slurf Tools. I'm sure that there's other tools that that can burn, but so I'm going to log into my wallet, or the deployer wallet.
And I know you've call to action sort of said if anyone wants to join you in the burning, feel free. My advice is if you're going to connect any tokens you want to burn, send them to a blank wallet with nothing else in it to do that.
Yeah,
because
very good
there's
idea.
a few of the tools.
Just empty your wallet.
Yes, I think it's Solana Inferno, or Solana Incinerator, Sol Incinerator. It's it burns the tokens, but it's not easy to navigate, and you could make a mistake.
Yeah,
with that,
yeah.
so.
Well, look, you're right, because I don't know if you see this here on my. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right, Cliff?
I can't. No, I'm just looking at you right now.
Oh. Well, hopefully the community can see. Since you're on stage, maybe you can't. But with the site, it says burn token. You choose the token to burn. Here you see that our current circulating supply is 96,689,000. And my balance is just under 100,000 tokens. So the balance, and this is in the deployer wallet, is 98,857 tokens. And so what I'm doing here is I'm pushing the 100%. So I'm burning everything. If somebody had their main wallet and accidentally pushed that, they would be incinerating their entire bag. So they could attach here and choose a specific amount and just type it in. But I agree with you, Cliff. I would be a little nervous because that would be like, what if I accidentally clicked the full amount? So, all right. So the burn is in progress. And I just successfully burned $98,857 potentially. And now I'm sharing the SolScan link, and it shows the burn of 98,858 SWPs. So that's adjusting the circulating supply. So we're getting closer to chiseling away at that circulating supply. Eventually, we're going to be at 95 million total circulating supply. Then eventually, it'll be at 92 million circulating supply, 89 million circulating supply. It will be chiseled away. And it's the cool thing about it is that it's just something happening over here while we're trying to build up the holder count, the support, the excitement. And I think that it's just knowing that if we just keep maintaining that during the bull run, the goal is, I truly believe that there was never enough time in the last cycle to really see the power. We saw the power of it creating some hype. We never saw the power of a true deflation, having gotten deep into that level of having taken a big bite out of any project. That was just I could be wrong. Somebody might have an opinion about that, but I feel like it'll be really exciting to see how this plays out. If it, over a longer period of time, it just gets more and more interesting to see a circulating supply going down every day. So, all right, Cliff, I will let you wrap up with any final words, anything you want to say to your community or the Wolf Pack. What would you say?
Thanks for having us up here. I've had a lot of screen time today, and I'm not used to that, but
I appreciate you
fun.
coming.
Yeah, thanks for having it up here. And like I said, guys, don't forget to do the work that's free. It's free to click like, it's free to click repost, it's free to put out a message and share something and encourage other people to do the same thing. And you got to get the work done. And if everybody does that, it's going to help out the projects immensely. But like I said, I like SWP because Tom shows up and he's consistent, and he's proven that he's going to stick to his roadmap. SOLNIC, I think that's what helped us out the first year of our project was we were consistent and we stuck to our roadmap, and we're sticking to our 2025 roadmap as well. So I think that's what helps the long-term build for your project.
It's exciting. Well, it'll be exciting to see how both of these projects play out. I think we'll conclude with our theme song. How's that? Let's get cracking with our theme song. Let's see here.
A crypto world full of rugs and noise, one token rose with a purpose. They built the basics. Website launched, core team doxed, token deployed, and community awakened. Liquidity burned, anti-bot tax in place. Real staff working full-time, not just vibes. Cartoons, memes, comics, education, not just a token, but a world being built. SWP evolves. Consulting arm opens, partnerships roll in. Wolfpack goes global.